Hi all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3. And in this particular video, I want to talk to you about what is a heuristic in psychology. This is part of my Nerd Out Wednesday series where I talk about things that are interesting in science and the world around us. I'm a professor of innovation, strategy, and entrepreneurship, and I'm really excited about this particular topic. I think it's quite interesting. So what is a heuristic? Well, this is a problem solving, it's a problem solving shortcut that allows you to make decisions much more quicker than you normally would without this particular heuristic. So heuristics are used all around the world around us, right? So I'm an engineer, so I know this in engineering. You would do heuristics to sort of solve problems. In computer science, there's heuristics that you use to solve mathematical problems. In medicine, you're going to use heuristics to sort of solve complex sort of human problems. The reason why we use heuristics is because the world is so complicated and you can't sort of possibly know all the ins and outs of the entire world around us. There's lots of sort of moving parts that you can't predict, you can't control. And the reason why we use heuristics is because it just simplifies our life dramatically. So in engineering, for example, if you're a civil engineer, there's kind of like a funny rule of thumb, I guess, that people use, and that if you sort of make an estimate of how things are going to be and how the world is going to be, if you build a bridge, you want to triple your estimate of what you should do, or you just want to have a large margin of error, because you're going to make mistakes and you're not going to be able to calculate everything around everything that you could possibly calculate. So this is a typical heuristic that you'd use in engineering. So for example, you'd build a bridge with the thickness of the bridge being about that thick. Well, you'd say, well, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. No matter how smart I am, I should triple the width of that, right? So you end up making something of that thick, and then you're like, okay, we're safe. Or people are going to be safe on that. So what is a heuristic in psychology? Well, a heuristic in psychology is very similar, is that the world around us is really difficult and we can't sort of compute everything. So the basis of often sort of decision making is we think that the world is that we can compute everything like a computer and we can sort of make decisions very, very rationally. But in psychology, we found out over the last 20, 30 years where we can't do that, and we often make sort of heuristics where we do sort of simple mental shortcuts that allow us to make decisions much more quicker than we would if we sort of computed everything and computed the world around us. And this is it's kind of really rational to do this because the world is very, very complicated, and we just simply do the thing that sort of simplifies everything. So what makes a really good heuristic, particularly within psychology or decision making, a good heuristic is if it's pretty accurate, right? So it's going to predict the world pretty well if you choose it's accurate. It also should be reliable in the sense that if you do this heuristic time and time again, you're going to get the same result. And then the third thing, it should be generalizable as much as possible, so that heuristic, if you sort of use that heuristic here, it's going to work over there, and you can move it to as many places as you possibly can. So heuristics typically fail in decision making. They fail, or they don't do a very good job if they're not accurate, they're not reliable, and they're not generalizable to other settings. So for example, stereotypes, for example, that's kind of a simple heuristic that we often do. Stereotypes about gender, race, whatever it is, and these stereotypes, they may or may not be true, but we often use them, and where we actually get into problems is when they're inaccurate and unreliable. And these stereotypes are generally that's the case, right? But that's how we sort of compute the world around us, is we make these sort of simple shortcuts, and these simple shortcuts can sort of run us astray. And particularly, so some things like, so for example, gender and race, we're selecting on an outcome it's easily observable, and that sometimes runs us into problems because we don't see what's going on behind the scenes and underneath, and sort of have a full understanding of what's going on. And we do know that sort of having this sort of looking at the outcomes or sort of simple characteristics, that could be very, very problematic in the long run. So yeah, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care and have a wonderful day.